Welcome back to Undisputed. Well, we just had the opportunity to speak with Chris Haynes, who is in the bubble. And, you know, guys, we've gotten to know Chris over the last couple months. He's come in, his personality, I love hearing from him. And, you know, there was a different tone to Chris Haynes today. He said some powerful stuff. He had a lot to share about his personal experiences here. And I just want to get your reaction. And Shannon, I'll start with you on what you thought about what Chris Haynes had to say today.
Well, Chris believes that the emotion were extremely high. And he said, and what I gather, Skip, is that it wasn't well thought out. Because the night before, Skip, they was like, okay, what's going to transpire? And it seems to me they wanted to be in on what the Bucks were going to do. And it seems like the Bucks made a unilateral decision, and it forced all the other dominoes to fall down.
And it was a last second.
Right.
It was like 5 minutes to tip off.
Right. And you mentioned earlier, okay, you make this decision. Orlando, they're warming up. The other team is probably getting ready. They're getting stressed, getting ready to, like, we're going to get ready to head to one of these gyms. I think it's two. I think it's two of them. It's two gyms, right? They got two.
I think they're three.
Three, okay.
Yeah.
They're like, we getting ready to
the
head.
Thunder Rockets are getting ready. I think they were on site.
Right.
Because Westbrook, you could see him walking up and down the hall.
So they're like, okay, we're doing this. And we just want to make sure we're cohesive. We just want to make sure we're unified.
Yeah.
We don't want one message to come out here and then we got to react to that message and then become unified. We would like to be unified from the jump. And I think that was the biggest thing that I gathered from what Chris said, is that the Bucks made their decision last minute, and it forced everybody else to make a decision last minute when everybody would have wanted to be on the same accord from the beginning. Two is that although the Lakers, some of the Lakers, obviously some of the more prominent Lakers, because it said LeBron left, Kawhi and some of the other Clippers left, seemed to me that they're like, we're willing to forego this unless these owners, Skip, and the owners said, we're going to, over the next 10 years, we're going to donate $300 million. But Skip, if I give a person money and says, okay, this is what you need to do, but you have no knowledge how to do it, what good is that?
None. Agreed.
And so you donating money to the community for what? Until you change laws that impact these communities, putting money into the community is not going to do anything.
How much has the NFL given to the community over the last 3-4 years?
Well, they said they're going to donate another $250 because with the players. Right.
To what?
Exactly, okay. Skip. So until laws are enacted that impacts these communities, then that money can be put to good use. But as long as the laws are implemented to hold, to oppress, to deny, you just throwing money into a bottomless pit. And for the longest time, Skip, people think money is the key to all. Well, if I got money, no. Now it gives you access. It gives you a means to maybe handle certain situations. You get better health care. You know, you ever get run afoul with the law, you can have the best attorneys. Money will do that for you.
Yep.
But there are certain problems that money can't fix.
Agreed.
It's leg work, it's elbow room, elbow grease, and it's in changing the laws that impact these communities. So Chris does not believe, he believes that this meeting today, since probably the games today will be postponed, but moving forward, probably Friday, Saturday, it'll be back business as usual. But I think the thing is, from what I gathered from Chris, there were some people disappointed that we postponed it, but we could have been more unified, got the message out. We're not playing today and not have to react to what the Bucks did hours earlier.
Correct. The anger, the raw emotion last night was caused in part by the Bucks just plunging into this decision 5 minutes to tip off. And it left everybody else in a bit of a lurch because they wanted to have a big press conference where everybody spoke. LeBron led the charge.
And you'd have a lot of the players in the background say, yeah, we're unified.
We're all for one and one for all.
Right.
And all of a sudden, one huge domino fell, and then they fell across sports last night. Baseball games were canceled. MLS, WNBA games canceled everywhere, sort of because it put everyone in an awkward position of saying, well, are you really going to play too?
Well, you had the NBA couldn't.
Yeah.
Once the first game was canceled, there's nowhere anybody else could play.
How could you?
No.
You'd look terrible. You'd look like you don't care.
Correct. Right.
So, again, what was most resounding came at the end of the night when it hit Twitter like thunder that Lakers, Clippers are out.
Yes.
They have voted out, and that LeBron led the charge out the door of the meeting room.
Right.
Lakers and Clippers.
Right.
So we got Bucks, Lakers, Clippers, and all of a sudden, Adam Silver is faced with my best three teams say they're out. At least Chris said that maybe sleeping it off, cooler heads will prevail, and he's still not to the point where he really believes, not that it's an empty threat, but that Lakers and Clippers will not play the rest of the playoffs. He's indicated his gut feeling was, as you heard, that they will play.
Correct.
But that LeBron wants action.
Right.
He wants, and this blindsided everyone from the commissioner down to all the owners. I don't think anybody saw that coming. Just read a piece on ESPN.com that indicates everybody was blindsided.
Yes.
And
because they said, Skip, they said the Bucks coaches, Bucks front office had no idea.
Right.
So if they didn't have an idea, it's hard for me to imagine that the NBA execs had an idea.
So when LeBron marched out the door late last night, you don't think that got every owner's attention?
Absolutely.
You don't think every owner has been on the phone today to try to smooth this over a little bit, to say, hey, what do you need? What do you want?
Right.
Back to your action. We need you to... Well, the Bucks were on the phone from the locker room. We talked about this earlier. Right. They manage because they got some power in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
They've got some clout.
Yeah, their owner got clout.
I'd say, but without their owner helping to open the doors, they were on the phone from the locker room with the lieutenant governor and the attorney general of the state of Wisconsin. Okay,
Right.
well, it's a start, right?
Yes.
And then they said Andre Iguodala delivered a passionate speech last night at the meeting saying, hey, at least some things are happening. He said, does anybody in here know that there's a police reform bill that's going to be voted on in the state of California tomorrow? It's Friday. Right. I just read about it.
Yeah.
SB 731, and I read what's in the bill. It's a start.
Right.
It's pretty good. It's about consequences.
Right.
It's so at least that was already in the works in the state of California. And he's saying at least we have some things going forward here. So maybe cooler heads will prevail, but obviously I don't want to see any of this get diluted by everybody saying, we're okay now, because you're not okay now.
Skip, I think the thing is also is that when you see these billionaires and multimillionaires, when they donate to these campaigns, they get exactly what they want.
Yeah.
The Congress people, they pass legislation on their behalf that's in the best interest of them. LeBron James says, NBA owners, when you donate to these campaigns, we want you to do the same thing. We want you to use your influence to get legislation passed for us. That's what we're asking. It's not good enough to say we're going to donate X amount of dollars over the next 10 years. No. The community, because the community, if I put a nice fancy building in a community that's still oppressed, what have I done? Because you get people that don't live in that community, that don't want to be in that community, that don't know how to talk to the people in the community, and then you get an escalation. And instead of a de-escalation, you get an escalation, and then you get 7 shots to the back. And then you get a situation where you kneeled on someone's neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. So that's what you're going to have to change. You're going to have to change the laws. You're going to have to get the training of how to deal with people that you're not used to dealing with.
Correct. Agreed.
Got a long way to go. And guys, we're going to continue with the latest news coming out of the bubble, what it means going forward. Chris Broussard will join us as well with his thoughts after the break.